focus is to move from effectiveness to greatness. Now, how do you do it? You have to listen to your inner voices and allow others to listen to their inner voices. Now, there are a couple of graphics, so we'll work through that. On the left side, there is a new age of civilization. So as we know, long time ago, it was hunting and gathering. Then people moved to the agriculture economy. 1801 steam engine was invented in UK and the world was ushered into the industrial economy. For the last 60 years, we are in the knowledge of the information economy. And of course, we are moving into mobile economy. Lately, everything on the smartphone. And ultimately, we hope that we learn some wisdom. Now, whole person paradigm is extremely important to keep in mind that as a leader, we need to engage the mind, body, spirit, and heart. Now, as the title suggests, the eighth habit is finding your voice using the God-given birth gifts and find and express your voice through the vision, conscious discipline, and the passion. Now, the table on the left side shows that there are chronic problems in the organization, and those problems can only be overcome by using the spirit, the mind, body, and the heart. And the bottom right, there are 4 leadership roles which one has to exercise in terms of aligning people, providing a role model for others to follow, pathfinding, and empowering their people. Now, the empowerment is a sort of a misused word. Empowerment means you expect results from your people, but at the same time, you allow them flexibility to make necessary changes and then get you the results you need. So both results are expected, but you have the ability to make necessary changes. It's a two-way street. That's empowerment in real sense. Now I want to share with you a model from the public sector. Uh, there is a gentleman by name William Bratton. He worked with the Boston Mass Transit, Boston Police Department, New York Mass Transit, and New York Police Department for well over 25 years. The work he did in the public sector, public arena for 25 years is written up by 2 faculties from INSEAD, the Harvard of Europe outside of Paris in France. The tipping point leadership tells us that in any organization, in all organizations, there will be 4 hurdles, and the leaders must overcome these 4 hurdles in order to find a sustainable growth for the organization. So the story goes this way. In the early 1990, New York was the murder capital of the world, highest number of murders committed for a given year. The situation was so bad that people were afraid to ride on a subway train. So what he did, he asked all his managers not to bring the car to the workplace, but take the subway, the train. The moment the manager started riding the train, they realized how horrible the problem was. During daytime, there was robbery, mugging going on, murders on the train. So what he did, he overcame the cognitive hurdle by putting his managers, his people in front of the problem. So normally a solution can only be obtained when people buy into the problem that yes, there is an issue, here is the problem, we need to solve that. Second one, none of the organizations have unlimited resources. So what he cleverly did, there was one of his precinct where the narcotics or the drugs was a major problem. He temporarily infused large workforce, police force, to tackle the issue and then disperse that workforce to the other next big issue. And this is how we overcome the resource hurdle, by prioritizing and focusing on critical issue at a time because you are not going to keep getting more and more resources. Third, motivation hurdle. So he had 80 precincts, and one or two precinct captains who had achieved the goals and great results, he will allow them to present in front of the peers on a weekly meeting. What he did was he was putting spotlight on people who had done great work and motivate others through peer pressure. And the last one, the political hurdle. Now, William Bratton was a very shrewd person. He came out with a formula that in order to reduce the crime in the New York City, he proposed a one strike and out. In other words, either you commit a murder or steal a loaf of bread, you have to go behind the bar in the prison. Now, the prison system is managed by the legislative branch. They got very unhappy and upset that if we put a lot of people behind the bar in the prison, they don't have the enough capacity and it will be flooded. Now, what William Bratton did, he kept the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, who was the mayor at that time, and mayor understood the issue, gave his full support. And sure enough, in the very first year, there was a huge spike of people going behind the bar in the prison. But after the first year, the whole thing turned around. And now New York is not the murder capital of the world. In 2011, my wife and myself, we were walking around in the lower Manhattan area around midnight to attend a function. All you can see is police cars running around to make sure citizens are safe, no mugging, no robbery at midnight even. So the lesson we learned from this model that even in the public sector, by overcoming these four hurdles, you can grow the organization in a sustainable way. Next one is from a researcher from Stanford Graduate School of Business, Jim Collins. He wrote a number of books, and this book is about good to great, another great book to have in your library. He studied well over 1,400 good companies with the excellent financial performance over 40 years. And from 1985 to 2001, those companies which gave 300% better financial return, he put together a metaphor of putting the right people on the bus. So in other words, don't worry about the issues facing the organization. Select the disciplined people, give them freedom to do the disciplined thinking. By doing that disciplined thinking, they will take focused action and disciplined action on critical issues, and that will allow them to build the greatness to last for a long time. Now, example from the India scene, Tata Sons, they are approaching the greatness, and incidentally, since 1994, they've adopted the US Baldrige Performance Excellence Model in all of their units. And as a result, they have done tremendous improvement, and their market capitalization was over $100 billion pre-COVID. And they continue to become excellent in things they do. Here we have a Southwest Airlines, a company run by the employees who design all the processes, and they are the most friendliest in the skies, and they are the most profitable, not the United, not the American Airlines, but the Southwest Airlines. And then there is a Walgreens pharmacy where they focus more on the employees than the customers. Next model is also from Jim Collins. This is an article published in Harvard Business Review. Title is Level 5 Leadership. So let's look at the 5 levels of leadership. First one is highly capable individual. Second level is contributing team member. Third level is a competent manager. Fourth level is effective leaders. Still, we have not reached the level 5 leadership. And the level 5 executive, according to Jim Collins, is the combination of humility and the will. By humility, he meant that when good things happen, leader will provide all the credit to everyone who contributed. But when something goes wrong, the leader will take all the blame. And the will means when the strategic plan is developed and all the objectives are set, the leader will persist at all cost to achieve those objectives for the betterment of the organization. In his article, he mentions that there are only 4% of the Fortune 500 company CEO who qualify to become the level 5 executive. At the India scene, Ratan Tata would definitely will fill in this slot of level 5. And the article talked about a gentleman who was a CEO of Kimberly Clark, a paper goods company. He had a terminal cancer. He went to the board and told them that allow me some time. I'll try to take the organization to the next height. He beat the odds of surviving the cancer as well as taking the Kimberly Clark to the greatest height during his tenure. So this is what level 5 leaders are all about. They promote the organization, not themselves. They are not there for personal publicity or limelight. They want to ensure that the organization and the people are progressing and organization achieves the best in the competitive world. Now we talk a little bit about Lincoln on leadership. This is the title of a book I picked up when I was in Seattle, Washington for vacation time. And the book talks about President Abraham Lincoln's time during the White House. And there are a number of great items. I'll just focus on few shown in the different colors. So here is the story about President Abraham Lincoln's time during the White House. Now, when he was appointed the president, the southern colonies wanted to separate out from the northern side because North focused more on industrial production and not much on militia or the military power. South, because they were doing more agriculture, better weather, they had a lot of military and militia power. So when the war broke out, when South wanted to separate out from the North, first job President Lincoln had to do was to build up the army for the North. And all the recruits who joined the army for the North, they passed through the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C., and President Lincoln will go from the White House to meet and greet each and every new recruit and thank them for their service. So in other words, leaders should not be sitting in the ivory tower giving orders, and instead they should be circulating with their people, even at the ground level, to find out what is working, what is not working, and open up the resources. President Lincoln was wonderful at persuasion. He would never coerce anybody. Now, he was also known as an honest ape because honesty and integrity were his hallmark. He was leading by being led. Share credit when good things happen, take the blame when things went wrong. So he was truly a level 5 leader. Now, during his tenure in the White House and during the Civil War, in the first 6 to 7 months, he fired about 7 to 8 generals until he came upon General Grant. What happened was people wanted a title, but they did not have a capacity to fight because of the split loyalty. Their friends and relatives may be fighting from the southern side. When General Grant came on the scene, he was a master tactician and a great strategist. He won the war for the North, and Union remained intact and the South surrendered. Also, President Lincoln was the master at the art of public speaking. if you do a Google search, the Gettysburg Address, 4.5 minute speech he gave, which was not the main speech, at the cemetery dedicating the lives of the soldiers who fought for the North and to keep the Union intact. And the last item is President Lincoln was great at storytelling. So the leaders are the one who keeps telling the story about the folk. So they show the folklore, what happened in the past, where the organization is currently, and where we are heading. And that inspires people to do great things in the organization. So we can learn a lot from President Lincoln and his leadership. Now, when I started my own organization back in 2000, the name of the company is Business Excellence Inc. So the model I proposed was that if we want to achieve business excellence, we need to have great ideas, and those ideas only come from people in the organization. When they have a lot of ideas, they do prioritization and they will take focus actions. Now, when you take the actions on a focus idea, then you need to review the results. And when good results come, we need to take time out and celebrate. Unfortunately, in this day and age, we do not take time to celebrate the good effort and good initiatives and good results. So that's one of the learning we need to focus on. And incidentally, the recognition is one of the least used management lever throughout the world. So ideas, action, results with a great focus on celebration, which allows the people to recharge their batteries and get more excited to do wonderful things on an ongoing basis. I wrote a small blog on LinkedIn about a leadership paradigm where I'm talking about creating economic value as a y-axis, empathy on the x-axis. Interestingly, there are 4 quadrants. We start with the top right, servant leadership. Very few people you can count whose focus is to give the sacrifice and provide the service. So this is where Swami Vivekananda, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King Jr. here, etc. will come. And you can find very few people to fit in that category. Top left is the C-suite, where the focus is on growth and profit, and they provide the value leadership. Unfortunately, they are not very empathetic to their people, and particularly in the Western world, they have a very short tenure. 2 to 3 years, either they turn the ship around or they are asked to go. Of course, they bail out with a golden parachute. Bottom right is the knowledge leadership. This is where all the educators who are on the call, all the great faculty at IMS Ghaziabad, focus of the educators is to do caring and sharing and provide the knowledge leadership. So I put it this way, when the students enter the university, enter the colleges, they are like a rough diamond. They have all the capacity, but they are not aware about it. The role of the faculty is continue to polish them and get them ready. So by the time they are ready to graduate, they can shine in the real world and do wonderful things. And bottom left, position leadership. This is where front and middle level management, they do misuse their power and play the politics. And the research shows that the good people leave when the direct line of management, supervisor or manager, are not able to take care of their good people. And when the good people start leaving, eventually the ship may sink. Now, this is a wonderful model. Over the last 27 years, I've been teaching operations management classes in the global scene. And what I've observed is, in order to have the students fully engaged in their learning, they need to be involved in their learning. And once they start learning something new, they have to apply it right away. Because when you learn something, if you apply then you will begin to see what works, what doesn't work, and then able to share it with other students in the classroom setting, learn from each other do's and don'ts. And if you are in the working setting, then in the workplace, you need to share it with your colleagues and learn from each other. Now, this one was crystallized in the year 2018 when I went to IIT BHU, Varanasi, my alma mater, gave a specific presentation as a part of this Fulbright specialist project on create magic in the classroom for students' engagement. So the bottom line is, if you want to really engage the students, we need to get them involved. They need to learn, apply, and share. Now, this is coming from Sanskrit, many forms of teachers. So it's an interesting journey. We start with a Adhyapak, and I've followed this journey to the T. At the early stage, when we start teaching, we are just conveying the information as an Adhyapak. When we add the knowledge to it, you get the next promotion to Upadhyay. When you begin to share the skills, you become the Acharya. Then when, let's see, when you begin to share the insight, you become a Pandit. Then when you provide the visionary thinking, you become Drishta. And eventually, when you share the wisdom, you become the Guru. So all the faculty who are on the call, on the webinar, I think we can aspire to move from Adhyapak to the Guru in our own chosen discipline. And that is, I think, the best way to see how we can contribute in the academic world. And basically, faculties engage the students in various ways, and that is the best way to do it is keep engaging your students in the classroom. So educate students by engaging, energizing, entertaining, and empowering them. Now I come to a very important slide. I call it a $64,000 slide, roadmap for leadership excellence. Now, if you want to become a leader, you need to have a personal commitment, involvement, and accountability. Now, we also need to move from becoming, we have the commitment, involvement, and accountability, but to become a good leader, we need to understand our own behaviors through the feedback from others, because few things we may be doing, it could come in the way for others unknowingly to us because we are blindsided. So here, at least in the Western world, we have 360-degree feedback for management group, which is generally 10% of the workforce, 90% of the worker side, 10% management. They are all evaluated on a 360-degree feedback, which is about 6 to 7 people, not only the immediate supervisor, but the peers, the subordinate, superior, customers, suppliers, different people provide the input about the contribution you made. All of that get assimilated, and out of that, the 1 or 2 areas of strength and 1 or 2 areas for improvement are determined. And generally, the third party does this analysis. Sometimes HR gets involved, and then you focus on 2 short-term and 2 long-term plans for the areas of strength to keep them with you and areas for improvement. Now, in order to improve the 1 or 2 areas, you have to start taking additional education and training by building up skills, integrate it and apply it for yourself, and continue to nurture yourself through personal and behavioral change. And one need to continue to measure the progress using the metrics on the short-term and long-term action plans. And when you are achieving good results, celebrate your success. So this is the roadmap for developing great leadership at the individual level, at the collective level, etc. Now, this particular information comes from the US Baldrige Performance Excellence Award, which started in 1987 by the Act of Congress, and 1988 first set of awards were given out. 7 categories. Leadership is the category 1, more like an engine. And he thinks the core competencies of the leadership required are setting the vision, mission, and values. What is a vision? Is a long-term dream for the organization. Mission is a roadmap to make that vision a reality. And values are few things by which the organization members will work together, such as focus on customer, valuing their employees, sustainable growth, etc. The leaders provide strategic direction. They are excellent at enforcing the ethics by being ethical themselves. Now they cannot do everything themselves, so they need to allocate the resource and conduct the periodic reviews. They build cohesive teams. They are great at spotting talent and bringing it into the organization. And one of the biggest obligation of leadership is to provide recognition. They continue to coach and mentor next level of leaders. So one example, at the GE conglomerate, the CEO spends 50% of his time teaching about 250 to 300 leaders who are in the pipeline from various units of GE. 50% of the CEO's time personally teaching upcoming leaders on vision, mission, values, the new innovative ways the company is progressing, etc. As we already discussed, leaders lead the change, they communicate effectively, and bottom line, they ensure the sustainability for a long period of time. Now we'll take a couple of best practice examples. One comes from Google, one of the best company to work for, about average age, 30 years average age of workforce. Lot of great benefits. My both sons worked at Google, the younger one for 8 years. He left Google about a year ago and now he's with LinkedIn. The elder son is with Google for last about 3 years here in Chicago. So what do the Googles do to create great manager, great leaders? They focus on 6 things: the mindset and values. They subscribe to the growth mindset put together by Dr. Carol Dweck, Stanford University, which talks about the intelligence can be cultivated. In other words, when you experience a setbacks or a failure, that's not a permanent thing. You can regroup and try to bounce back and continue to focus on issues at hand. Second, have the emotional intelligence, the great sense of self-awareness. Third, manager transition is critical. When somebody is made a manager, they face so many challenges, so they share some of those challenges and frustrations with their peers and learn from each other. Big focus on coaching through active listening and asking open-ended questions and making sure that you meet the individual communication style on a one-on-one basis. Very big on giving consistent feedback across teams by balancing positive and negative feedback. Very authentic and appreciative, and continue to focus on growth opportunities. And in decision making, they have a great framework to make better decisions where managers think out loud their new ideas and then decisions, and collectively understanding the feedback, they make the right decisions. Now, the article here from the Harvard Business Review talks about what sets successful CEOs apart. They do 4 things differently than their peer group. They decide with speed and conviction by moving with the right amount of speed. Secondly, they engage for action. They understand the stakeholder priorities and engage their employees to achieve the results. Third, they adapt proactively because no matter how much planning you do not have the playbook for all the situation, and you must be ready to adapt on a given moment. And they deliver reliably by using all the business management systems to achieve the performance to satisfy the stakeholders. Now, one of the things the leaders do is have the heightened sense of social responsibility. Of course, we know at India scene, Tata's plow back 67% of their profit through their non-profit organizations they support. 2/3 of the net profit is plowed back through non-profits. So when I came here, I was fortunate to receive the Tata Scholarship, and their objective was to send people overseas, get the good education, come back to India. In my case, I could not return back to India. I've settled here since 52 years. But back in '89, when we came to know that India has 15 million blind people, 1 out of 3 in the world, we started this Blind Foundation for India with the mission to prevent and cure blindness and educate and rehabilitate permanently blind people in India. So far, with the grace of God, we have raised $5 million, and our medical partners have performed 220,000 free cataract operations. 134 mobile vans have been donated to take doctors to villages and bring patients for cataract at the hospitals. 10,000 braille kits to children for their education with the sighted kids. And bottom line, 2 million people, 1 million students and 1 million adults have got the free eyesight checkup. Our website is shown, blindfoundation.org. So that's the free Chakshudan, 32nd year we are in. And for the last 7 years, focus on free Gyandan, that is Leadership Excellence Series, combination of soft skills and quality management topics to well over 100 institutes with the 9 lakh students benefiting. So the road to success is not crowded, because while most are looking for ways to take, the truly successful people are finding ways to give. With a given attitude, every situation is an opportunity for success. Here is a beautiful quote from John C. Maxwell, an author who has written a wonderful book. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So here is a very interesting way to look at it. Leadership is not about being in charge. Leadership is about taking care of those in your charge. So always remember, when you are either in the academic setting or in the workplace setting, when people are given to you, they are entrusted you, you need to take care of them. Don't try to boss around. So Ralph Waldo Emerson tells us that the leaders do not go where the path may lead, but they go instead where there is no path, and they leave a trail. So they are the trailblazers. So this one, Kapil had mentioned up front, if your action inspires others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are already a leader. Now, one interesting thing I wanted to share, what can we learn from Lord Ganesha's leadership? So my nephew was getting married in Hawaii. The priest had flown in from Atlanta in Georgia. And during the wedding, he mentioned that we can learn a lot from leadership of Lord Ganesha. So there are a number of items, so let's quickly work through it. The big head of the Lord signifies source of wisdom. Big ears signify capacity to listen. Flapping ears signify keeping bad information out. The trunk signifies strength and flexibility. Big stomach signifies ability to hold information, digest, and integrate. Small eyes signify ability to contemplate. Small vehicles signifies humility and control over vasanas. And Lord Ganesha is married to Riddhi and Siddhi, still no ego. So we can learn a lot from Lord Ganesha, the Lord of removal of all the vigna, all the obstacles in life. So here is a nice quote from famous coach, Lou Holtz, football coach from University of Notre Dame. He says, ability is what you are capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do, but it is the attitude that determines how well you do it. So when you are looking for people, look for positive attitude, can do. And those are the people will go to the higher altitude. Our own president, late President Dr. Radhakrishnan, he was the Vice Chancellor at Banaras Hindu University also. He says, when we think we know, we cease to learn. And this is the crux of the matter. No matter how much education you have, do not have that air in your head that you know everything, because then you stop learning. Now, in order to be successful, we need to focus on three things in life: the knowledge, the skills, and attitudes. So all the students who are at the great institute, IMS Ghaziabad, you are there to get the best knowledge, all the basic foundation and things you need to learn from the information, facts, figures, theories, etc. But you need to continue to build your skills on goal setting, time management, reasoning, communication, interpersonal skills. And third important aspect is build positive attitude through self-motivation, self-confidence, integrity, honesty, optimism, enthusiasm, cooperation, and commitment. Very quickly work through the World Economic Forum Future of Job reports 10 critical skills needed to be successful in 2022 versus 2020. Focus on the left side. 4 items are color-coded, repeating from 2020 at different positions. And frankly, when you take a look at the list on the left side, a lot of these skills are not taught at the college or the university level. So what happens, the industry has to retrain people who come out of the universities because they are not able to hit the ground running. So will it not be nice to integrate all these areas during the studies, so when students graduate, they have all these skills at their fingertip? Now, very quickly, the importance of soft skills. All the data shows that over 90% of the executives value soft skills over the hard skills or the technical skills. And the last item shows that for the students joining the workforce, their ability to work in a team is more desirable than the problem solving and hard skills like analytical or quantitative skills. So focus on soft skills. When you master the soft skill, you master your destiny. One of these important soft skills is the communication. Second half of the slide is very important to read. It says no matter what job you have in life, your success is determined 5% by your academic credentials, 15% by your professional experience, but lopsided 80% by your communication skills. And fill in the blank: leadership, time management, meeting management, teamwork, decision-making, project management, etc. You need to be proficient at verbal, written, and presentation. They have to be effective and meaningful, and each one of them requires practice. So we'll take a very quick look at a very short YouTube, 7 leadership principles couched out of the life of an eagle, and then we are almost trying to wrap up the presentation. So in summary, leadership is all about influencing, igniting, and inspiring ordinary people to do extraordinary things. So it's nothing but influence, ignite, and inspire people to do extraordinary things. If you are able to do that, you are a leader and you continue your journey to become the excellent leader. Lots of great references. And now we are ready for questions through chat box.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful, knowledgeable, insightful session. I am pretty sure that students must be taking plenty of knowledgeable insights from this session.
Thank
So,
you.
for further proceedings, I would like to welcome a very vibrant, energetic personality, the head coordinator of Management Department, second year, and also the expert of human resources, Professor Yekbala Kapil. We welcome you, ma'am. For further proceedings, over to you.
Thank you, Kapil. I was mesmerized by the session. Last was the eagle, so I was like flying with the eagle. So
Yes.
yeah, so it was like, sir, it was a very beautiful, and the slides were so beautiful.
Thank you.
Especially that one, the global leader one. I really took the snapshot of that. I really loved that. So there are a lot of questions. I'll be picking up certain questions, sir. So I think Aditya Bhardwaj has actually raised a very good question, and let me take his question first.
Mhm.
He want to know that how to handle situations when a leader is doing everything he must do, but the response is not better. So how to take